All right, hey, this is Scott with Tri-County Metals, and I'm here with David, and we were just reviewing our notes, and we have a humdinger of a question. So I'm the marketing manager of Tri-County Metals. David is super highly qualified. That's why we have him on camera. David is our business development manager for Volusia County and surrounding areas, and he has earned his wings as contractor trainer with a Contractor's Edge factory training program, and you've been in metal roofing for decades.
I have, actually.
So when we ask this question, how does the roof get installed?
The easy answer is find a contractor. That's how you get a metal roof installed, for sure.
So it's a loaded question, but in a nutshell, for maybe you have a homeowner watching, maybe you're a shingle contractor and you're new to metal roofing, you're just not familiar. If you had to sort of give an overview to answer that question, how would you answer it as far as the steps?
Do as much research before you ever start as possible. Know the types of materials that you want to install. Go to our website because our marketing guys created a website that has every single resource you could possibly imagine on their website. You do an amazing job with that. I refer people that all the time because there's nothing you cannot find on our website that has to do with the installation or information about it, and it's easily accessible, which is important. But I think that the step one is know the product you're installing and make sure that you pull down the install guides and the product guides and read them before you get started. And then at that point, you can pretty much follow the install guide as a homeowner. If you really want to install it yourself, it can be done. I can tell you, before I was a contractor and before I was a trainer of metal roofing, I installed my own metal roof. I had a little bit of guidance from Dad, who'd been around for a while in the metal industry, but ultimately it can be done. And in my opinion, it's probably easier than shingles. But I will say I've never installed a shingle roof.
Okay.
But it's 3 foot wide, and for me it was exposed fastener. It's 3 foot wide. You lay that panel out, you square it up. Once you get your first panel square, the rest lays right down next to it. It just lap, tack the top and bottom, and then go back and screw it all off. And if you want to get a little more advanced, you maybe pre-drill your panels before you put them up there, so your screw lines are nice and tight. And then trim it out. And again, in our install guides, it explains how to install every piece of trim. And once you do one, you can do them as many as you want after that, because it's not that difficult. The standing seam is a little more challenging.
Okay.
There's a lot more detail to that because, when you install a ridge cap on exposed fastener, you literally lay the ridge cap on top of the two panels, screw it down. Maybe put some closure underneath it or something, or venting or whatever you would want there. But with standing seam, you have to cut each individual, because of the 16-inch in the ribs, you have to cut each individual Z closure, which is a piece of trim that actually the ridge cap hooks onto, which allows you to hide all your fasteners. So, the rule of thumb is when you're installing standing seam is every piece of trim needs another piece of trim to install it. Right. Even with Valley, there's a panel starter. There's absolutely every one is another piece of trim, and most of it's Z. But a lot more detail oriented. That would definitely be something I would not recommend to a homeowner to install. If you are looking at concealed fastener, you should probably dive into a contractor.
Sure.
And the trim work on all jobs that's typically the signature of the contractor. It's so funny in my time with the Contractor's Edge how people cut 45-degree angles on their gables, or cut and fold and do all these fancy little things that they're like, that's the chef's kiss of how this is done. And if anybody doesn't do it that way, it's not right.
Right.
And it's so funny, and I'll tell you, I didn't cut and fold squat on my own roof because I didn't know what I was doing.
Gotcha.
I didn't research well enough, and I didn't have the attention to detail at the time. But That's all changed.
Yeah, certainly you have those nuances, the folding and the hemming, and depending on what it is that we're doing. I mean, I think really the bottom line is, while we can tackle commercial and all kinds of other projects, by and large, the re-roof is really kind of the mainstay for what we produce metal for. Certainly there's new construction, there's pole barns, there's other things. So when it comes to that, I mean, I think, obviously you have to prepare that deck. We're talking about a re-roof. There's discussion, do we take the shingles on? Can we? Yeah, we do have Florida product approvals where you can leave shingles on if it's one layer of shingles in certain situations and certain panels. I mean, ultimately for me, if I were gonna invest at that level, I would want to take it down to deck, inspect the deck. Certainly, the Florida product approval might mitigate that we need to re-screw or re-nail that deck in a certain pattern to make sure we're up to snuff. Nothing wrong with that. We want to leave that roof intact in severe weather situations. So my advice certainly would be, take it down to deck. We want to use synthetic or better underlayment, in my opinion. And then, like you say, from there, this is the field of panels, and the way that we install it, trim it out, and then the attention to detail in that trim. So we can really kind of go down that rabbit hole and all kinds of weaves and bobs, but by and large, it does come down to the type of roof that we're installing. And the good news is that we're metal roofing experts, and we're just a phone call away, text away. We have live chat that we can help you with. In addition to that, as we may have covered in some other segments you've watched, we've got panel selector tool on our website. It's totally free. Click Color Studio. You can visualize your house totally free. Florida product approval tool. Pick the right Florida product approval so you know the fasteners you need, and all these sorts of things. It's all available there for you, but if you want guidance, we're here to help as well.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add one last thing to what you were saying there. If you're a homeowner that is looking for a metal roof and you don't know what contractors to use or in your area or whatever, definitely give us a call. Absolutely. Because our CSRs that work inside our branches, they have, we service all kinds of contractors all the time. We have preferred contractors that we like to work with and give leads to, and so we can definitely direct you in the right direction.
Yeah, all you really need, if that's you and you're watching, it's just the get a quote form on our website that'll go process through our marketing department, and we have a whole system in place where we can line up and help get you in contact with a short list of contractors who are all independent, who can help get the details needed to price out your project.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it. I'm Scott. This is David. We kind of wrestled that question. Hopefully you found it entertaining and useful, and along with all the other free tools that we have, as you've been watching the top 10 metal roofing install questions answered. And this is Scott. David, we'll catch you next time.